The world isn't perfect. Mistakes are made. Some of the mistakes are intentional, etc. But the safeguards inspectors who travel the world and do these safeguard inspections in accordance with the various, safeguard agreements between the IAEA and member states, they come across technical violations. Reports are submitted incorrectly. Reports are submitted late, et cetera, et cetera. And so to prevent each technical violation from becoming the end-of-the-world scenario, we have to get back down to brass tacks here. And the bottom line is the technical violation of a nature which prevents the IAEA from doing its fundamental task, which is accounting for the totality of the nuclear material, at play here. And what the legal advisor to the Director General of the IAEA said is that this is not anything that changes our ability, the IAEA's ability, to carry this out. Therefore, we need to be careful about talking in terms of a violation of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. We don't have a violation. What we have is a legal debate between Iran and the IAEA about Code 3.1. You see, in 1992, in the aftermath of the Iraq fiasco, and it was a fiasco for the IAEA, which had given Iraq a relatively clean bill of health, and suddenly to find out that there's this nuclear program that was taking place under the nose of the safeguards inspectors, the IAEA determined that it needed to basically tighten up its procedures. And so it came up with two things. One, it came up with what we call the Additional Protocol of Inspections. That's enhanced inspection activities by the IAEA safeguard inspectors in terms of no-notice inspections and what they can bring to bear and all this stuff. And then they also tightened up these subsidiary agreements. Code 3.1 in particular was redone to take away the 180-day lead time and say that the IAEA had to be informed at the time. Now, here's the thing people need to understand. Simply because the IAEA has determined a need and indeed has defined new procedures, they are not legally binding until which time an agreement is entered into between the IAEA and the member state. The IAEA cannot impose additional requirements, restrictions, whatever, on a signatory nation above and beyond the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty unless that nation says, yes, we want to do this. And in 1992, Iran did not say, we want to do this.
Well, and this is easy to understand if we just put the United States in Iran's position. If our government signs a treaty and then there are subsidiary agreements and additional protocols and whatever under that, that's up to our Senate to say whether that's the law of this land or not up to the United Nations or, a combination of France and Russia or anyone else.
This is what the gentlemen and ladies at, Arms Control Wonk or whatever they call themselves, need to understand. That simply because you're a geek who sits at a computer screen and has some sort of a high level of IQ and you can talk in technical terms, that doesn't make you somebody who can rewrite international law. And Iran is a sovereign state, and I would like to introduce to these people the concept of a constitutional form of government. Now, we allegedly have one here at home, and as you rightly point out, the Senate would go bonkers if the president, whether it be a Republican or a Democratic president, entered into a treaty obligation and made the United States accountable to that treaty without that treaty going through a ratification process into the Senate and that treaty being ratified. In fact, that would be an illegal agreement between the president and another state. It would be unconstitutional. Iran has a constitution, believe it or not. I mean, a lot of people forget that Iran is a constitutional government. It's an Islamic republic, and the republic form of government, talks about checks and balances between the executive, the president, and the legislative, the majlis or the parliament. And in this case, the parliament is mandated to basically ratify any international agreement between the Islamic Republic and another nation or international organization.
And now
so people make fun of it. They say, well, the Majlis has no role in this. Well, excuse me. The Majlis has every role in this. And until the Iranian parliament ratifies an agreement, it is not legally binding. And as the legal advisor to the Director General of the IAEA has noted, the fact is, from 1976 to 2003, Iran was not found to be in violation of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty simply because it operated under the old Code 3.1. The new Code 3.1 is a technical problem, a technical issue. It's not about fundamental issues such as the diversion of nuclear material, etc. This is really a strange debate to be having. It's a wonkish debate. It's the kind of debate that people have when they don't have facts, when they don't have figures, when they want to discuss an issue on the periphery. Let's get back down to what we're talking about here. Because the wonks who talk about Code 3.1 then spin it out to say that this is alarming, this is dangerous, this is exactly what we said was going to happen. They predicted finding such a facility for years. Nothing has happened. This is a tempest in a teapot. It's much ado about nothing. It's a very wonkish debate we're having here.
Yeah, well, and it's important, though, because, one of the top headlines, I don't know if it's still the top headline, on Antiwar.com today is the Iran debate over? And it's about how our news editor, Jason Ditz, was in the comment section over at Slashdot, where people tend to have degrees and are pretty educated, and he was looking at all their coverage of the Iran and the comment section there and their coverage of Iran, and it was very split about whether we should have a war with Iran or not. But the question of whether Iran is making nuclear weapons or not is apparently been decided out there in the general narrative. And the fact that the CIA only, according to Newsweek, only last week, or week before last, the CIA is reaffirming their judgment in the National Intelligence Estimate of 2007 that says that the Iranians have not chosen politically to have a nuclear weapons program, to pursue nuclear weapons. And this is while they're saying they've known about this secret facility all this time. So the CIA has known about this facility that has only recently been declared for years, apparently, and they still said that we don't conclude that this means that they've made a decision to pursue nuclear weapons at all. It's just, as you say, well, it's another facility for enriching uranium in. Big deal. Show me that it's more than that, and then I'll start worrying.
Look, I hope people have when we're talking about this issue, I hope that the hair's rising on the back of necks, and there's a sickening feeling of deja vu all over again, to quote Yogi Berra. In 2002, the United States, both in terms of the government, the Senate, the executive office, and indeed mainstream media, had found Iraq guilty of reconstituting a weapons of mass destruction capability, and of hiding weapons of mass destruction, and of basically arming itself to the teeth. They're guilty. It was done. We weren't debating. If you go back and take a look at the testimonies before the Senate in the summer of 2002 and before the House, what you see is it's a foregone conclusion that Iraq had these programs, that Iraq was armed to the teeth, that inspections couldn't work. And what was the end result? We went to war. The same thing's happening today. The debate, as you say, is pretty much over. There's very few people up there jumping up and down saying, "Hey, time out. Show me the beef." This is a very dangerous development, and we had better reflect on the fact that we went down this path once before, and look where it got us. Absolute disaster.
Well, and this is me skipping to the end of the interview here, Scott, but I'm going to go ahead and lay this on you. You may be the only person in this society who can stop this. I mean, I don't know what it would take if we all got to raise money so you can afford to camp out in front of the news stations, the TV stations all day in New York City there, or what we got to do. But you're basically the only person who can say, look, I'm a Marine, I'm a weapons inspector. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you what they're saying is not right. This is what is right. Who else can do it? Who else has your credentials and your grasp of detail to get up there and refute this? I mean, if the debate is over, then the war's going to happen. If it's decided, well, yes, they're obviously making nuclear weapons and they only understand one thing first, then we already lost.
Well, first of all, I appreciate the vote of confidence, but I have to tell you, it's a sad state of affairs if it comes down to the shoulders of one person who's not even directly involved in this particular problem.